Hello, this is Bebe Screen Queen. I hope you're doing okay this afternoon, morning, night, depends on where you live at. So before I get into it, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the notification bell button to be notified when I post some new videos, and follow me on Instagram and TikTok under the same name, Bebe Screen Queen. Now let's just get into it. Now, this is my second movie review of Friday the 13th. Well, 1986 is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Now, I'm going to let y'all know that I only do classics movies and some new ones based on what I like. Okay, really and truly, even though it's my number two, it's my number 37 because I had done this before. So I cover five categories: the background, the synopsis, favorite movie, favorite scenes or main points. What else? Shocking moments or what the heck moments or what have you, and what I like and dislike about the movie. Okay, so we got that. We got that. So let's get into the background of 1986's Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives was released on August 1st, 1986, distributed by Paramount Pictures, directed and written by Tom McLaughlin, produced by Don Burns, music by Harry Manfredi with a production company of Terror Inc. Now let's get into the synopsis of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. The synopsis of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives states, Tommy Jarvis, played by Tom Matthews, goes to the graveyard to get rid of Jason Voorhees', played by C.J. Graham, body once and for all, but inadvertently brings him back to life instead. Now let's get into my favorite kills of Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Let me tell you something about that kill. I mean, I at that time when I was little, yeah, I was watching horror movies when I was little. No, I shouldn't have, but I did. But when I saw that scene, when Jason had unalived Sheriff Garris, played by David Kagan, backbend him. I mean, cracked his back to a point where it's like it's oh my gosh. But honestly, I think that is the coolest kill scene in the movie in its entirety because really and truly the kills in part six, you didn't get to see the impact as the previous Jason movies on Friday the 13th movies because you actually get to see the kills, right? But during this time now, it's like I guess are they called the FCC? Is it FCC? I think. I don't know. I forgot. I think it's FCC. That they say, you know what, if you're going to continue to do these kills, because we be having too many, people who saying that, your movie is violent and everything else, like Freddy Krueger, like Nightmare on Elm Street, even violent as well. I'm not saying that they don't have no problems, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. But I love Freddy Krueger. But congratulations, Robert England. But yeah, but part six is kind of hard to say what is your favorite kill because it's always be cut. Like when impact happens, it's like it's cut real quick. And so it's like, how can you have a favorite kill? But back then, Sherry Garris was my favorite kill. I mean, just like, because here's Megan, played by Jennifer Cook. She was calling out her father. Then Jason was already like searching for Sherry Garris. But then when Sheriff heard his daughter, and then see Jason just turn around and going towards, that voice. And then you see Garrett's like, no, daughter, and then just tackle Jason down. But I gotta give it to Sherry Garrett. He kicked the shit out of Jason. Kicked him, got the wood or what have you, big stick, and then you hear the whoosh, jack. Then got the rock and then was on top of Jason, just like slamming on his head. Then Jason just got him by like the neck and just backbend him. It's not like you can be on your knees and you backbend. I mean, it's just to a point where I don't know how, but it wasn't a comfortable backbend. It was one that you can break like a stick. You can hear it too. Oh, but it's like the dude David Kagan was in like the ground, what have you, and with the prosthetic legs and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I like that. I like that kill. So that is my favorite kill. Back Ben Sheriff Garrett. I need my glasses for this. So we got Court, played by Tom Fridley, and he's the nephew of John Travolta. Yes, he is. It's kind of funny because John Travolta also played in a horror movie called Carrie. I think he probably played in another horror movie, but that's what I known him from. First of all, I know John Travolta from Look Who's Talking. Okay, but yeah, he was in Carrie, John Travolta. Now to know that Tom Fridley is the nephew of John Travolta, I can see that, and it kind of sounded like. And you get Nikki played by Darcy DeMoss. So they just like, maybe boyfriend, girlfriend, they was doing a while the music playing. It's funny because she was like, oh, it's like, you're the best, the best. And then she's like, we got to keep up at the end of the song. And then he would ask her, how much longer? And she just leaned there and like, it's only 10 more minutes. And he was like, wait a minute. Whoa, well, hold up. But Jason doesn't like that because, he drowned because camp counselors were either playing around, not caring about the children, or having, home, home, home. But anyway, so they found out that the plug that was plugged in the RV, that Jason cut the plug. Now, Court, he felt like that maybe Jason is out there because again, you get Tommy saying that Jason has come back to life. Okay, so Nikki and Court in the RV. Court is driving the RV, right? It's slinging Nikki from left to right. She hitting her face against the wall. The way how Court was driving, she was all the way back on the bed where her toes was hitting the blinds, and she said, "That's it. Pull over. I'm driving." And then Court was, turning on the radio. Said, "No, I want to rock." And then he would hear Alice Cooper, Teenage Frankenstein. In a teenage Frankenstein. Dun, 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 dun. I'm a teenage Frankenstein. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, okay. So anyway, Nikki had enough. She got up, walking towards Court, and then here comes Jason pulling her into the bathroom. He was just like slinging her against the door, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And here comes Court, like, are you taking a dump? You need some help or what? And then she was like, Core. I can't believe, I never driven in the house before and whatnot. And then here comes Jason slamming Nikki's face into the medicine cabinet. Now, what's so interesting about that was underwater. Yeah, yeah. And I know, I think they did that. And then, that they had to shoot like underwater. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, that is so cool. That is really cool. So she got the facial beauty cabinet. Okay. Her face, because Nikki is a bad girl. She's a baddie, okay. And then again, Cora was like, "Nigga, what you doing? Are you taking a dump? Or taking a pee pee, or vice versa, what have you?" I forgot what he said. Then here comes Jason just coming out of the bathroom, just walking towards Cora. And then Cora was like, "Hey, Nikki, listen to this." And then he looked in his rearview mirror, seeing Jason, and then Jason grabbed him by the head and just stabbed Cora with the knife through his skull. You see it a little bit, but see they cut it so quick where you don't, you saw the impact, but it's like like previous Friday 13th movies, you couldn't like feel the impact, but you see it quick, but it's kind of like God dang. And then you see Jason stand on top of the RV when it, you know, kind of went off the road and went onto its sides, and then Jason was like dun, 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 dun. CJ don't play. CJ dude does not play, man. That dude was scary. So that's my second favorite kill. Sissy, played by what's her name? Renee Jones. Beautiful woman, beautiful woman. Okay. She's hearing something. She's just eating her popcorn. She's hearing something outside. And so uh Paula decided to tell Sissy, not decided, Paula told Sissy, hey, why just do a prank on Court? I guess they like to prank on each other, because they're friends. And so Sissy went up to the window, got her lime soda, what have you, and just poured a little bit. And then you hear Jason breathing, right? And Sissy just couldn't understand. It's like Court was like, hey, man, this and that and the third. So she just going up the window slowly, slowly, slowly. And me, I'm like, girl, don't do that, don't do that. But they don't even know that Jason is alive. But then when she went up close to the window, Jason popped his butt up, grabbed Sissy, and twisted her head around. It's something about black people when it comes to horror movies or maybe dramas or action, it's always dealing with people's heads, especially in Friday the 13th. And we saw it in Predator with what's his name? What's his name? You know, we're gonna have some fun tonight. We're gonna have some. Oh gosh, it's gonna kill me. Bill Duke's character, yeah, head. Now Kincaid from Nightmare on Elm Street, she was, that he was different. He got stabbed, but Sheila in Part 4, she was sucked. I'm sorry, Freddy sucked the life out of her from the mouth, so her head caved in, her body caved in. Now the person who have asthma, that's low. But yeah, man, it's like why? And then he just like slung Sissy's body over his shoulders and walked past the girl's bunk. And you see Nancy like, and I'm like, yeah, he did. Yeah. So that's my favorite kill in the movie. I mean, again, it's not that many favorite kills, but these are my top three favorite kills. So let's get into like shocking and like what the moments, okay? Okay, so we got Darren and Elizabeth. Darren played by Tony Goldwyn, okay, and Elizabeth played by Nancy McLaughlin. So they on their way to camp. They are the camp counselors, and they stumble upon Jason. Okay, um, Elizabeth was like, mask, we need to go. So she backed up, but she got to stop because there's a puddle. And so Darren decided, let's just like, scare him by like driving towards him and stop. So they did that. And then, Elizabeth was like, yeah, that really scared the S out of him. And then here comes Darren honking the horn. And then Jason decided to poke the front tire. And Elizabeth was like, that's it. We taking this baby back to where we came from. I'm like, girl, yes, yes, yes. You just like me. But here comes Darren, want to be a hero. Mm, I'm not going to say it. I am not going to say it. I am not going to say. But anyway, he got the gun, and she was like, "What are you going to do with that?" So I'm going to like teach him a lesson. It's like, cool it. You ain't dirty Harry and stuff. So he got out of his car, point the gun at Jason, get out of the road now. And he cocked the gun, and then here comes Jason, just like hitting the lights, and then here comes Elizabeth saying that Darren, get in this car before he kills you. Then not if I kill him first. It's like, see, he's trying to be a hero, but he failed. Jason got this like rod from the fence, I think, stabbed Darren and just flung him. And then then Jason's like, you too, and just with the spear of rod, into the car. She got out, and because the mud, because the ground was so muddy, she slipped into the puddle. And of course, she got the money, thinking that he's gonna rob her. Then he was gone. They was like, huh? I said, now, girl, this is the right time to get up and run. You were smart before. You can't be smart now. So he jumped maybe from the tree, and then got the rod from that's from the fence, and just pew, into her face. Now, I think in behind the scenes that she said, I almost died, that the rod was that close to me. I don't know if that was the puddle scene or when he got the rod when he did it in the car. Because she did say that it almost like CJ almost kind of like, unalived her, by accident. But yeah, it's like, don't be the hero, okay? Don't act like you can do something. When you see a dude with a mask, just go, okay? But you can't tell young women that because men with wearing a mask, that's daddy to them. That is like, oh yeah, kidnap me, hold me hostage because I will rock your world. What am I saying? It's true. It's true. They like men with like masks, like the ghost faces, Michael Myers, even Art the Clown. Don't be the hero like Darren. He failed. Sorry, Darren. Okay. Totally Gold. I seen you in Scandal. I seen you in Ghost. Boo. And seen you in other movies, you know. But no, you weren't the hero in this one. You keep getting killed. But hey, you kind of did your thing in the remake of The Last House on the Left, even though what's his name? Krug, played by Garrett Dillahunt. Hey, Garrett. Uh, kicked your ass. Yeah. I don't know why I sounds that. But yeah, but that's kind of crazy. It's just my whole, what the heck moment was that? It's like, why are you trying to be a hero? Listen to Elizabeth. Go. Run. I don't care. So let's get into what I like and dislike about the movie. Can I say what I like about this movie is Jennifer Cook, Megan Garris. She didn't get enough credit. She didn't get her flowers. She didn't get her just due. Like her character is so spunky, and she doesn't stand still. She just go about it. But I just love the fact that because she is like, oh God, I forgot her name in part two. Because part two of Friday the 13th, I like. I keep forgetting about her for some reason because I'm too busy paying attention to a chick in part three. But Megan is a badass chick, and it's like it is what it is, and it's like now what can I do? Like I said in my top three, for her to go to the girls' bunk where the girls and boys were hiding at from Jason, and Jason just came in and just boom. It's just for Megan just to run and don't even care. I mean, I gotta give props to her. And for her, like, to go into the lake to save Tommy, I don't know. That's Jason we're talking about. And then, decided, like, to take on Jason. Really, truly, yeah, Tommy was the hero, but really, truly, Megan was the hero. She was the hero. So I love Megan. I think she is one of my favorite final Friday the 13th final girls. It's her, Chicken Part 3, and Part 2. Those are my favorite final girls in Friday the 13th. But Megan, I'm going to put her as number one. Now, when it comes to like face to face, the the chick in Part 2 coming face to face with Jason, yeah, and then that was badass. I like that one. But I'm going to give Megan her props. I love Megan. What I dislike is not the movie itself. I hate the fact that with this part, because I felt like when it comes to what maybe the audience, like, these little higher ups wanted, part six is that. Because part six, is not like the previous Friday the 13th and even ones that comes after, because in part seven, they decided to go back to that campy type of Friday the 13th, where I think that part six was more of bit advanced in a way when it comes to the acting, because the actors was acting, and there was not a whole lot of hon hon hon, and it was with the kills has always been cut. So for that to get a low ratings, I felt like that was unfair. I can understand why though, with Friday 13 fans, whatnot, because certain things didn't make sense in the movie, but as a whole, it's kind of like you at least should have given it like maybe 2.5 stars for that if you're gonna do out of four, like 2.5 stars, yeah. But for Friday 13th franchise as a whole not getting the recognition like A Nightmare on Elm Street, that's just so wrong. Because like, what's the difference between A Nightmare on Elm Street and that, and Friday the 13th? I didn't like it. Now going in, what I dislike about what's happening in the movie is when Megan knew about Court and Nikki. Now when Nikki and Court was unalive, and then you see Tommy meeting up with Megan at the phone booth, it's like, are we with them when Megan was in his car trying to tell Tommy like you need to hide your truck or what have you? Like, did that when they was talking, was Court still driving the RV and then he got killed? Because what it looks like is like after that Court and Nikki had gone, then Megan, then you saw Megan and Tommy like met up because when Megan asked her father, Sheriff Garris, about what time did Court and Nikki were alive, and it was like he said 8:30, 9 o'clock. Why? And then she said Tommy was with me all that time. I'm like, I kind of find that hard to believe because they died way before. But if I was Sheriff Garris, like maybe like 7 o'clock, 7:30, because if he's around you at 8:30, 9 o'clock, that means that Court and Nikki had already been gone. Okay, so if I was Sheriff Garris, it's like, well, he still could have been a killer. So that's why I'm like, that's a writing mistake. You get what I'm saying? Um, and I can understand why people, may like this ain't their favorite because it's not campy like the previous ones in part 7 and 8. But I like this because, I guess this is my type of horror. And I feel like this is the most strongest when it comes to acting. It's just like any other horror movie, honestly. And it stands on its own. And what I like about this movie is also CJ, because CJ Graham, he reinvented Jason, who we love now. And with, what's his name? Kane? Is it Kane? What he did with Jason, he took notes from CJ and said, how can I make Jason even more frightening than part six? So he took CJ's cue, he took notes from CJ and then add more flavor to Jason with the movement, with more jerky movements, with more like how he turns around and look and how he kills, and even part seven, how he yanked the chain around his neck and how he walked, and stuff. Because CJ, that scene when Jason came out of the grave and just stood there with the face reveal, was the scariest shiznit I ever seen in my life. I said, get away, get away, get away, get away. The face reveal in part seven, that was the coolest face reveal, but the scariest one was part six. CJ did a damn thing with Jason. And if it wasn't for CJ, we probably wouldn't have the Jason that we have in part seven, part eight, and maybe Jason X and Jason Goes to Hell. Because CJ was the one that really truly create this horror of Friday the 13th. I like how they did a continuation of Tommy Jarvis's character because it started off in part four and then it ended with part six. So it's like, you have Nancy and then you have Tommy. So, and also having the final male in a horror movie because you had one in part two of not Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, and then you have Tommy Jarvis. So I love Friday the 13th part six. It's my number one favorite of all the Jason movies. And but I mean, maybe y'all have y'all favorite one, but yeah, I mean that's the type of movie that I will watch again and again and again. It's the only one that I will watch again and again. But if the marathon start coming on, oh, I will watch it. I will watch it. I will watch it. And I'm glad that they kind of like went back to showing the kills in. I think they did a lot of, yeah, they did a lot of cuts in part seven, but I think Jason Goes to Manhattan, and afterwards they went back to showing the kills. So it's like finally, um, because part six, I would say that you never get like the feeling of the kills, right? You see it, but you don't because it cuts right away, and it doesn't have the same impact as the previous ones. But part six, oh, and the opening. Dun 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 dun. Oh, got the best opening, yes. So but do y'all like part six of Friday the 13th? Is it your favorite? Hey, tell me. So that is it for my movie review of 1986's Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. Okay, now if you like it, tell me why y'all like the movie, all right? Put in the comment section below. So I will see y'all next time, and my next movie review will be 2022's it's a horror comedy of my favorite, The Menu. So stay tuned for that. So peace, love, and happiness to all of you. Stay cool. Don't be no fool. Use a tool of what? Knowledge. Deuces. Bye.